Hey, what's up, good people? I'm QC. Welcome to another edition of Talking and Grubbing, and I am continuing my 2017 NFL preview as we get ready to kick off the NFL season Thursday night. This time, I'm flipping it over to the NFC West. So here's my breakdown of this year's NFC West. I think this year's division leader will be the Seattle Seahawks once again. They're the best team in the NFC West, bar none. They have Russell Wilson, who I think gets slept on as a quarterback, in my opinion. Not only he can rush the ball, but he's a dynamic passer, and this is in spite of the fact that he doesn't have that dynamic wide receiver like an Antonio Brown or an Odell Beckham Jr. But he has a pretty solid receiver in Doug Baldwin. He has a pretty good tight end in Jimmy Graham. But now the Seahawks running game is pretty questionable. They have Eddie Lacy, who they picked up in free agency from the Green Bay Packers, and also Thomas Rawls, who had a pretty decent season last year before his season ended with an injury. But they still have that defense that's anchored by Michael Bennett, Cliff Averill, and Richard Sherman. Not only they can get to the quarterback, they can also stuff the run game, create turnovers, and sometimes turn those turnovers into points. Now the next team is the Arizona Cardinals. Last year, they had a pretty shoddy season because they had a lot of injuries, especially to their running back, David Johnson, who was having a pretty good year before he got injured. Carson Palmer is an underrated quarterback as well. The year before, he had a pretty great season. He ended up in the Pro Bowl. He had about over 4,000 yards in passing. Also, he has a pretty nice receiver, of course, in veteran Larry Fitzgerald. Despite the fact that he may be entering the twilight of his career, Larry Fitzgerald can still get some touchdowns for you, average some decent yards. And also, they have a pretty good defense that's anchored by cornerback Patrick Peterson. So if the Cardinals can stay healthy this year, they may challenge the Seahawks for the division, but I think they'll ultimately end up as a wild card. Next are the Los Angeles Rams. Now, this is a rebuild. This is the second year of their rebuilding process. They have a nice young quarterback, Jared Goff. I'm curious to see how he'll improve on his rookie year. They also have an underrated quarterback in, Todd Gurley. And they have a pretty decent defense. I think the Rams are going to improve, but I think they still might end up picking top 10 in the NFL draft next year. Last but not least, we have the San Francisco 49ers. They're definitely in a rebuilding year. I mean, Colin Kaepernick decided to leave the team as a free agent. Also, the defense that had those runs in the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship games is long gone. They have a pretty nice running back in Carlos Hyde, but I don't know, what kind of season he's going to have with a young offensive line. Also, that defense is pretty suspect, so I think they're definitely going to be picking in the top 10 in the NFL draft next year as well. Anyways, that's my preview for the NFC West. Stay tuned for my previews for the AFC East and the NFC East. Till next time, y'all have a good one. Love y'all to life. Deuces.